The Mad Max character behind the wheel owns this place, and today he's peddling his wares.
This would make beautiful slabs.
Yeah, look at this color.
You might think, it's just a bunch of dead trees. But his passenger sees a treasure.
Are these acacia? Let's go take a look.
This tree is probably only about 40 years old.
Wow.
Richard Hoover is a guitar maker, constantly on the prowl for those extra special pieces of wood.
Yeah, that's awesome, that flame right there.
There you go.
A very important part of our philosophy is responsible harvest, that every piece of wood that we use, we know where it came from.
Probably almost 1,000 years old. It was 10 feet in diameter. And this is just a chunk of what it was.
Oftentimes we're using wood that's a reclamation. It could be a dead standing tree, it could be a sunken log, it could be a component from an old bridge. When we do that, not only do we not contribute to deforestation, but we get the advantage of better sounding wood. This is Platanus racemosa sycamore. It's native to our mountains, and this would have washed down the stream, washed up on the riverbank between 2,000 and 5,000 years ago, according to the geologist, and it was in an anaerobic environment, so it's preserved. And this gorgeous stuff will make a great sounding guitar.
Beyond the environmental impacts, Richard uses old, ancient wood because it simply makes his guitars sound better.
It's a choice of woods, and it's how they're manipulated. One of the big secrets of old violins is the resins are polymerized, not dried, but gone through a chemical change over time and become harder and more resonant. They would actually sink it underwater for up to a decade. Not only do the resins polymerize, but the sticky sugars that are the nutrients that are all the way through the cellular structure would dissolve and leave the wood more free for resonance.
And to get to the good stuff underneath all the punky, rotten wood, Brian has his work cut out for him. But the differences are almost immediately obvious.
The resins polymerizing is something you can hear, a before and after here. Buy that one, not this one.
The startling differences in sound also show up in wood that's stacked and waiting in Richard's shop.
This is a piece of wood. It's spruce from Germany, and this came from a builder as a gift to me. And so we've got 100 years in this piece of wood. This is the same quality of wood from the same region, and I'm going to guess that this is probably about 5 years from the living tree.
But can we prove one panel is better than the other? Josh Gordis is an acoustician. He uses the tools of his trade to show us the differences.
When you listen to an orchestra, the instruments like the double bass, the bassoon, are producing lower frequency sounds. The violins and the piccolos are producing higher frequency sounds. Every structure has its own characteristic frequencies.
The white line is the new panel, and the red line is the old panel. At the lower frequencies, they're nearly the same. But as the frequencies get higher, things begin to diverge.
In the old panel, that some of the resonances or natural frequencies are somewhat higher than the corresponding resonances in the newer panel. The newer panel has a sort of a duller, sort of a almost lifeless response in comparison to the older panel, which has a brighter, livelier, punchier tone.
There's a lot of scientific inquiry into the master violin makers. Did they use wood that had some advantage from a bacterial action while the wood was underwater? Older wood is more resonant. I can't think of a context where you wouldn't want your guitar to sound more resonant.
All it takes is about 1,000 years, give or take. Or, if you're in a rush, one of Richard's beauties starts at about $5,000.